Last Sunday, I decided to do something simple. I decided to go for a walk in the park. I had been at home for most of the morning, and I felt like I needed a change. Sometimes, when I spend too much time at home, I feel tired even when I haven't done much. I look at my phone, watch videos, check social media, and suddenly several hours have passed. So, that afternoon, I put on my shoes, took a bottle of water, and left my house. I didn't have a special plan. I just wanted to walk, enjoy the weather, and spend some time outside. When I arrived at the park, the first thing I noticed was the weather. It was a beautiful afternoon. The sun was shining, but it wasn't extremely hot. There was a soft breeze, and the sky was blue with only a few small clouds. There were many people in the park. Some people were walking, some were running, and others were sitting on the grass. I also saw several people walking their dogs. The dogs looked very happy. Some were running around, while others were slowly walking next to their owners. I started walking along one of the main paths. I wasn't walking quickly because I wasn't exercising. I just wanted to relax. I looked at the trees around me and listened to the sounds of nature. There were birds singing in the trees, children laughing, and people talking. I could also hear bicycles passing behind me from time to time. As I continued walking, I noticed some beautiful flowers next to the path. There were different colors, and they made the park look very nice. I stopped for a moment and looked at them. I even took a few pictures with my phone. After about 20 minutes, I found a quiet place under a big tree. There was a bench, so I decided to sit down for a few minutes. I took a drink of water and looked around. From that place, I could see a large part of the park. There were families having a picnic, teenagers talking with their friends, and older people enjoying a quiet afternoon. I realized that everyone was doing something different, but everyone seemed to be enjoying their time there. I stayed on the bench for about 10 minutes. I listened to some music, but after a while, I put my phone away. I wanted to enjoy the moment without looking at a screen. This was actually a little difficult for me, because I usually check my phone many times during the day. But after a few minutes, I didn't miss it. Then I decided to continue my walk. There was a small lake in the park, and I wanted to see it. I walked toward the lake and followed the path around it. The lake was very calm. The water reflected the trees and the blue sky. There were a few ducks swimming near the edge of the lake. I stopped again and watched them for a while. One of the ducks moved closer to me, but then it turned around and went back into the water. I smiled because it was such a simple moment, but it made me happy. A few minutes later, I saw something else that caught my attention. There was a small squirrel near a tree. It was moving quickly and looking at the ground. I watched it from a distance. It stopped near the tree, looked around, and then quickly ran to another place. I thought it was funny because it seemed very busy. It reminded me of how people sometimes move from one place to another without stopping. After walking around the lake, I started feeling a little hungry. Luckily, I had brought a small sandwich with me. I found a nice place on the grass and sat down. I ate my sandwich and drank some water while looking at the trees. The sandwich wasn't anything special, but it tasted really good because I was hungry. While I was eating, I started thinking about my week. I thought about the things I had done, the things I still needed to do, and some personal goals I have. I realized that I often spend too much time thinking about the future. I think about what I need to do tomorrow, next week, or next month. But sitting there in the park helped me focus on the present. For a few minutes, I wasn't thinking about work or responsibilities. I was simply sitting on the grass, eating my sandwich, and enjoying the afternoon. After eating, I decided to walk a little more. This time, I walked more slowly. I paid attention to the small things around me. I noticed the sound of the wind moving through the trees. I noticed the sunlight between the branches. I noticed people smiling and talking. Sometimes we don't notice these things because we are always in a hurry. As I walked, I thought about how important it is to take breaks. We don't always need a big vacation or an expensive trip to relax. Sometimes, we just need to leave the house, walk for a while, and breathe fresh air. I also think walking is a good way to clear your mind. When you walk, you have time to think, but you can also stop thinking about your problems for a while. After almost 2 hours, I realized that it was getting late. The sun was starting to go down, and the park was becoming quieter. I decided it was time to go home. Before leaving, I stopped one last time near the lake. The light was beautiful, and the park looked very peaceful. I took one final picture and started walking toward the exit. On my way home, I felt different from when I had left my house. Before the walk, I had felt a little tired and bored. Now, I felt calm and relaxed. Nothing extraordinary had happened. I hadn't gone anywhere special. I hadn't done anything expensive or exciting. I had simply walked through a park. But sometimes, simple things are exactly what we need. That afternoon reminded me that happiness doesn't always come from big experiences. Sometimes, happiness can be found in a quiet walk, a beautiful view, a good song, a small sandwich, or even watching a little squirrel running through the grass. Since that day, I've been thinking about going to the park more often. I don't need to wait until I feel stressed or tired. I can simply go because I enjoy being outside. Maybe next time, I'll take a book with me. Maybe I'll bring a friend. Or maybe I'll go alone again. I think both are great options. The important thing is to take some time for yourself. So, if you've been spending a lot of time at home lately, why don't you go for a walk? You don't need a special reason. Put on your shoes, take some water, leave your phone in your pocket, and enjoy the world around you. You might be surprised by how much better you feel after a simple walk. And now I want to ask you a question. When was the last time you went for a walk in a park? What did you see? Did you go alone or with someone? Think about your experience and try to describe it in English. Remember, you don't need complicated English to talk about your life. You can start with simple sentences like, I went to the park last Sunday, I saw some birds, I walked around the lake, or I felt very relaxed. Everyday experiences are perfect opportunities to practice English. Thank you for listening to this episode of Tu Inglés Virtual Podcast. I hope you enjoyed my little walk through the park, and I hope this story inspires you to take a walk and enjoy some time outside. See you in the next episode.
I hope today's story inspired you to try something new while improving your English. Thanks for listening, and remember, every day is a new chance to learn. See you in the next episode, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and follow me on my social media such as TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Goodbye.